11, 12 maybe. 11 or 12, maybe 13. I might have been 13. I was on a trip with a bunch of people my age, and we went to Colorado. It started early for me. We were in Colorado. And there was this girl that was with us. Her name was Amber. Amber was an amazing singer, so kind and very cute. And I was in middle school. I wanted to talk to her so badly, but I was too scared to, because sometimes you just know when people are out of your league. So I did what any normal person would do. I wrote a note. It might have been a poem. Still awkward, right? So she wrote one back, not a poem by any means. She wrote a letter back, right? And my poem was like, it didn't say I like you, but it definitely indicated I like you, kind of like that. So she sends this letter back to me. A friend delivers it, and it's like wrapped up. Guys, this is before cell phones, all right? It's all wrapped up in like a little triangle, and you got to unfold it like origami. It was very difficult. I was very scared I was going to actually like rip the paper and cry on the bus. But anyways, so I opened it up, and it started with Dear Sean, and like the handwriting was fantastic. That handwriting is like curly and it just looks nice, appropriate spacing, everything that I can't do. Oh man, it was awesome. Like, oh cool. Hi Sean, you are an awesome person. I'm like, yes, the letter worked. The next line I will never forget. I consider you such an awesome friend. Period. And that's when I knew that this is what they call friend zone. I kept that letter for a long time because I really don't know why. I kind of just keep weird stuff, I guess. And I will never forget that process with Amber. And it really made me think of like writing letters to people. Writing to people we like, or writing letters to people we don't like. I always think of that breakup letter. I never got a breakup letter personally, but that's also because I didn't have a girlfriend until college. But that's not the point. Breakup letters are very fascinating because sometimes they're just direct and to the point. Sometimes they're fluffy and friendly, and I just want to be friends and stuff like that. There's a whole wide variety of them, and they're always entertaining to read when you're not the one receiving them. The reason I bring this up is because you're getting ready to look at what might possibly be the most brutal breakup letter ever written in human history. Yeah, in social studies class, I know. So I want you to open up the document in research, in the research section. This is the Declaration of Independence. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary, okay? The Declaration of Independence does not create the United States. That's the first thing. Just know that. It doesn't. It doesn't form a government. It doesn't do any of that. The Declaration of Independence is very simply put a breakup letter to the King of England. And it's saying that you didn't listen to us, we're leaving you and making our own country, okay? That is a slap. Got it? It is a brutal breakup letter. And it's also essential for our existence here in the United States. In order for us to get support from countries like France during the Revolutionary War, who we desperately needed because we didn't have the supplies to fight the largest military in the world. Yeah. We needed to show that we were serious about forming our own nation. Okay? So, in doing so, we created the Declaration of Independence. Now, when you read that, the wording is kind of weird because it's written back in the 1700s, these, thous, and all that kind of stuff, right? It talks about a lot of different things. It lists out the different reasons why we're breaking up with England. True. It also talks about what we believe to be inalienable or believe to be for all people, like freedom and equality, which is interesting because this is in the 1700s. And last I checked, awkward topic here, sorry, not all people were free. So how does that work? It's one of those strange conversations. It's a hard conversation to have. As historians, we look back at text and we have to take it for face value. not to justify, not to agree, not to disagree, but just to accept as information. And the reality is this: the people, the founding fathers, who are writing this Declaration of Independence firmly believe two things. One, that they should be their own nation apart from England. That's the first thing. That's kind of a duh thing, right? The other piece is the piece that's not talked about. And it's the hard piece for us to look at as historians. And that's the sake that the Declaration of Independence talks about how they believe that all people are created equally and they all should have freedom, right? But we also know that slavery exists at this point. So if we take these two, what's that tell you about the people who founded the United States? What does it tell you about their perspective of slaves? They didn't even view them as humans. They still viewed them as property, and that's it. And that's hard for us to look at, and it's painful, and it's real, and it's fact. And that's something we have to accept. Sometimes in history, we do a disservice. We take people who have done great things, and we put them on a pedestal. We're like, wow, look at what they did. Wow. A founder of a nation, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, pick whatever you'd like, okay? They've done amazing things. And in the historical context, yeah, they did amazing things. You're right. Jefferson invented the swivel chair. I really need one for my room. Like, incredible stuff. But through history, we also forget the fact that they are humans, and they are flawed, and they make mistakes, and they've made major errors. And some of the decisions they made in the 1700s, both positive and negative, are still felt to this day. That's the hard part about the Declaration of Independence. When we read it at face value, we get this warm, fuzzy feeling inside of like, all people are created equal, all people should be free, all people should govern their own nations. We get all that. And it's patriotic, and it's awesome, and it's real. Like, it really is. It's a cool document. It's a critical document. Some would even argue it's more important than the Constitution. But we also have to remember, historians, that it was made at a time when not all people were free and not all people were viewed as people. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. This is not we got to bash the American spirit because they weren't good people. As historians, remember, our opinions don't matter. What is important is that we look at multiple perspectives and vantage points. And perspectives in this are that, yeah, we should be our own nation. We should be free. We should have our own thoughts and our own beliefs, et cetera, et cetera. But we also have to recognize that even with all those great things, we still viewed some people as not being people. And it's most notably, we see that most notably with slavery. That's the apparent, that's the evident, that is the upfront, that is the, dare I say it, duh statement, right? And currently, it's what the populace in the United States really likes to hold on to, which is understandable. We also do forget this, though, that when we look at U.S. history, this is a repercussion we still feel to this day, violently so, to put it very bluntly. We also need to acknowledge that slaves were not the only ones not viewed as people in North America at that time. The other thing we need to remember is the colonists, for the most part, despised and did not get along with the Native Americans, the folks who were here before the colonists, the original, the OGs of North America. They didn't get along with them. They slaughtered a lot of them, and they took their land. Like, these are all facts. Not to argue whether it's right or wrong, that's not the point, but we have to analyze the perspectives that the Declaration of Independence was critical for a nation, but it still excluded two major people groups of this geographical area. It's critical that we don't ignore that today. As a teacher, it's a disservice if I just talk about, look what the Founding Fathers did, they're awesome. Yeah, I can go on about that, but I also have a duty and an obligation in today's world to say, but it didn't cover everyone. And before anyone's sitting going, you forgot the other group. Yeah, you're right. Women still couldn't vote. Women still didn't have any rights. You're right. Add it. Add that to the group. So when we look at the Declaration of Independence, we have to look at it in two contexts. One, we have to look at it in the sake of what it was. It was a historical document breaking up with England, saying, you didn't do your job, we're making our own country. It's hateful, it's spiteful, and it's awesome because of that. Like, it's so edgy. We also have to understand and recognize that when it was created, it did not include all people. And I'll put it very bluntly in this perspective. When the Declaration of Independence was made, all lives didn't matter. Okay? Yeah, there. I hope that puts that in perspective. It didn't matter. If you were this specific type of person, it mattered to you. If you're anybody else, it didn't apply to you at all. It's a weird perspective to think about, isn't it? Personally, like, I battle it back and forth. It doesn't make me despise where I live, but it makes me upset, maybe even angry, that these were the conversations we didn't have when I was in school. Because we open up the textbook, we read what the textbook says, we close the textbook, we go on to class. That's not good enough. We need truth. The whole truth. Nothing but the truth. Yeah. So take a look at the task after reading the Declaration of Independence. You've got a couple. You have options. You can either write your own declaration about yourself, about what you expect as freedoms for yourself as a human. That'd be kind of cool. Or you can rewrite the Declaration of Independence in the form of a breakup letter. And I know some of y'all know exactly what that is, right? So I'll let you take a look at that. Get it done. Have fun with this one. Like, we're to enjoy this a little bit, all right? Have fun with this one, and then submit it through Canvas, all right? That's all you gotta do, okay? Good luck. Have fun. And take the time to actually analyze what the Declaration of Independence really was. Read the Declaration. Don't just skim it. Read it, digest it, interpret it, all right? It is a really cool document, flaws and all. All right? Let me know if you have any questions. Same old, same old. Peace.